the Lich here. But in either case, yeah, he's has a lot of potential to just bring in the nukes that they need, give the ice armor to everybody. I think that's going to be important. A value point by level 4 in the ice armor, and just making sure that everybody tanks up, survives, and just goes through these team fights with a good sustained damage output that gets stronger as the team fight goes along.
Yeah, it is a very durable lineup in general. Just to put numbers to my statement, in the previous version, in pubs at least, according to Dota Buff, Night Stalker had a 49% win rate. This version, again, very early. It's only been a day, but, everyone likes to make those snap judgments. He is down to 47%, so there's a bit of data that the heroes performing worse, but obviously we've seen heroes that don't do well. Oh no, Perfect World. Don't do me like this.
Oh, okay.
Alright, well, we'll start the reconnecting process here. Hopefully we'll get a solid connection, and I'm just going to bring up the Russian stream, see if they're doing better in the meantime. And obviously, the way a hero performs in pubs is not necessarily indicative of how he'll do in competitive play. But, that said, the numbers are not good for him yet. So, anyway, with that said, Chinese stream is lagging, the Russian stream is 2 minutes delayed. We may end up just having to watch this one through Dota TV if it's like yesterday.
I'm not having any issues at all, but all the same,
Okay.
obviously I've had Dota TV issues when others don't, and it's an interesting deal with the Perfect World servers. But at least nothing's happening right now. No crazy level 1 Roshan, not even a clash at the moment. So, yeah, with this, they're going to start really just work on the laning phase. They don't want to be fighting outside the lane so much, at least not early, up against things like Paralyzing Cask and things of that nature. We're going to see kind of a 2-1-2 breakdown, it looks like, with Rior and Cast to take the Witch Doctor and Brewmaster up to the top lane. And I actually think that 2-1-2 is pretty decent for both sides here. Obviously, the Lich gets a lot done with a dual lane. In this case, it looks like it's going to be the Lich and the Bristleback, one that you really don't usually see. And it's just kind of a way to make sure that DD has a really good time on this dire offlane, which is still very, very difficult.
All right, I'm going to try another reconnect here, guys. If that doesn't work, I'll continue reconnecting and cast off the Russian stream. It will be 2 minutes delayed at that point. It looks like they're casting from Dota TV as well. So if that happens, then... And if that doesn't work, then we'll just cast from Dota TV ourselves if we can't get it after 2 or 3 reconnects. So do apologize, but want to do our best to give audio to the people who did pay for the ticket. But yeah, with that said... for now, I'm just going to switch over to the Russian stream because they're finally into the game. So we can go ahead and cast off of that for the meantime. This is the... Oh, that's the wrong one. Here we go. So yeah, this is the Starlighter stream. Thanks to them for streaming as well. They've just given up entirely on Perfect World. They just default to Dota TV right now. But we will have DD playing the Bristleback. It looks like the Night Stalker handled by Xiaowei going mid. And Reconnect still failing. The Brewmaster will be handled by Ryo on the side of Rave. That puts Cast onto the support Witch Doctor. The support Vengeful Spirit will be handled by Ninja Boogie. And Chrissy will be playing your Doom, one of his go-to heroes as of late. And, console. Well, good news is they're 2 hits behind, so this is before the creep spawn and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it looked like they did get the bounty rune and an invis rune to start things off, so... Rave with that early advantage, perhaps. Well, we'll see if they end up using it once we catch up here in the Dota TV server. Offlane Lich, yeah, pretty standard stuff overall. It looks like dual lanes for both teams. Who would you favor there, Blaze, with both teams running the dual lanes?
I think in terms of bottom lane, there is a lot of potential for the Lich, the Bristleback, to really make things difficult for the Doom. And as far as his early farming goes, there's not going to be that many creeps on the lane sacrifice versus Devour. But in the mid lane, it's definitely going to go the way of the Templar Assassin. I mean, just so much potential there up against the Night Stalker to keep control. And yeah, I mean, he could just destroy him in CS, no problem at all, at least until the first nighttime. And from there, I think the only contested lane, because I think bottom lane is won so hard by the Dire and Rave have the TA to win the mid, that the top lane is going to be the question. We'll have to see skill usage and just timing and movement to actually see how that one pans out.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, TA will definitely dominate a Night Stalker mid. One big change in this patch is the damage change to earn, though. It's now damage instead of HP removal. I know it cancels Blink Daggers. I saw that in a game yesterday that I was watching. Do you know if it cancels, it removes Refraction as well? I believe it
Yeah.
it does, right?
Yes, it does, at least in this current iteration. I mean,
right.
there's
So that's a pretty big nerf to TA on paper anyway. Because Urn is a very cheap item. It's something most teams will get in general, and it might give Night Stalker more of a shot laning up. Well, not laning against the TA, sorry, but ganking her more in the mid game. And I have given up on watching through the actual lobby. Sorry to those who bought a ticket, but we gave it 3 tries. It just ain't happening. So we're gonna go ahead and watch in game through Dota TV. So okay, we'll run through the lineups here properly now. You've got Ninja Boogie playing the Vengeful Spirit. No kills have happened yet. Chrissy will be on your Doom in the safe lane. Solo mid will go Jo on the Templar Assassin. That puts Cast onto the Witch Doctor support. Ryo as the off-lane Brew. As you were suggesting, Blaze, easy matchup early on for TA. She's crushing it, 11-0. The Night Stalker doing okay at 6-0, but for him it's more about the levels. On the side of OB, we've got Long DD who picks up a double damage rune. Now gets cast by Cast, but he's going to have to back here. He turns around, tanks an extra auto tech. The uphill auto tech misses. Oh, it would have been first blood for Long DD. Unlucky there. And he's going to get run down by Ryo, who's got boots up. This probably will be a first blood going the other way. If he gets that clap, Long DD's done for. There's a crit. There's one more auto tech to go. First blood to Rave. Oh, the RNGG. You just can't make this stuff up. Long DD will be playing your Shadow Shaman. Put Jo into the Necrophos safe lane. Mid will go Shao on the Night Stalker. And off lane will be DD on the Bristleback. And 820, the legend from another time, will be on that off lane Lich support.
Yeah, so this is different than what we've seen H20 so far in the few games that we've gotten to watch him. He's played a lot more roaming supports than anything else. Previously, Skywrath and a little bit of Shadow Shaman here and there, but switching up to the Lich, this is much more of a lane sustainer. 1 point in Sacrifice instead of 2 means he wants to harass the lane and the Doom specifically back a little bit more, but it does mean that he'll get less experience supplemented for him and Bristle at that kind of level 3 interval. But top lane?
Top lane, big jump in on Jo. He gets stunned by the Vengeful Spirit, and they continue here to chase, but Ryo will end up going down. No evasion on those tower auto attacks. Rave overextend. They give away a freebie. It was a close call for them, but failing to connect in the end. Jo will now start healing himself up, and with the early point in Sadist, he'll eventually be able to get back into this laning stage with Samana as well. It's an aggressive tri-lane that you expect to shut down the Necrophos, not feed him golden experience, so off the bat, Rave getting lucky not to give up the first blood at the rune, and the luck not going their way this time, but perhaps well-deserved, overextending at the top lane. And now we'll see a little battle for the runes, though I don't see 820 doing much to contest this one.
Nah, Zhao will actually push Ninja Boogie off of this top rune spawn, though. Nice damage coming out from him with the Ring 3 Void. Gonna just camp the rune, though. Doesn't really even care about the Venge. The stun comes out. They let the regen rune will actually go the way of the Venge, so pretty much a free stun, some free harassment, and some frustration for Xiao 8.
Well, these old boys might not have the fastest fingers, Blaze. That's for sure. No, they looked like they were literally getting better with each game when they were playing on day one, and I'm kind of expecting the same from them here. It's a wily group of veterans who have been through many a new patch, but bottom lane, Chrissy gets caught out, the Bristleback starts to stack up his goo, and now DD begins the chase. Aggression from him. It's a net thrown out to try and slow down this dive. Now Ninja Boogie will TP in. This is something DD was not expecting, and he's going to go down for this. Nice rotation from Ninja Boogie. Early TP pickup doing its work. He's chasing for more, but doesn't have a point of Wave of Terror, and doesn't have the extra stun anyway. And now we'll have a very quick pause.
Yep. So right now, I honestly don't think the laning phase is that big of a deal for the side of the old boys. I mean, right now, the way that their heroes are going to be working is when they hit level 6, level 7, and they start moving together. When they start actually surviving, maybe get what is the new item up called? Crimson Guard up.
Oh, Crimson Guard, yeah.
Yeah, surviving through team fights is the bottom line. They need to just go ahead, get their basic sources of durability, make sure they have some longevity of the team fight, and just get 2 or 3 spell casts off to really cement any advantage that they have. And it'll come down to the Doom and the split, really, in this early stage to decide whether or not that's going to be how things pay out. I think the TA pick is going to be frustrating for them because they want to sustain. They want to live through the fights as long as possible, and obviously TA is all about burst and just bringing people down quickly. But if they can keep her relatively shut down and just make it so that they keep the Doom target safe, whoever he may be, then I think that old boys should be able to win out on a few of the early skirmishes.
Yeah, one other thing I do want to mention, because there have been changes to a lot of damage types in Dota, is that Necrophos' aura still will not affect her. It's negative regeneration now instead of, I believe it used to be HP removal, is that correct?
Yeah.
So it still will not affect her as far as refraction goes. So your mentioned TA is the big damage dealer, and I still think Urn might cause her problems, but Well, we'll see if there's one picked up. It's a pretty... I would say it's a core item on Night Stalker if the supports aren't buying it. It just offers you a lot of value early on and helps you to sustain, go for those tower dives, and get a lot of pickoffs. But Rune will spawn, and I guess this is the one area where Night Stalker may improve a bit, Blaze, is he does have good rune control at night. Not the best, because he doesn't push the wave, but he's very fast to get to the rune. So he can at least guarantee himself one rune every wave now, instead of going for one, getting unlucky, and then getting ultra screwed. So that may help make up for potentially falling off later on in the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's some aspects to it where you almost want it to only be one rune so you can control it so heavily and shut the enemy mid laner down, but Jao's in a position where he's just too quick. He's got the traps, he's got the phase boots, and he's not really... Xiao doesn't have that much presence, even at nighttime, this early stage. Bottom lane, though.
There's going to be a turn here. Stomp onto DD, but they turn on 820. You get caught out by the magic missile. Now Jao will be on the chase. At level 1, the traps do have that same old duration of 11 seconds, but it's probably good enough here. Meld following through a couple of more auto attacks, additional magic missile, securing the kill. Now Jao's going to go hard on Xiao 8. He needs to back the hell off. There's a trap here, but they can't really chase the Night Stalker any farther. Jao does have a meld if need be, and should make his way out safely in the end. That was good timing, though, because Doom had just hit level 6, and, well, hitting that was able to turn the fight around quite nicely.
The ultimate no longer disables the Bristleback passive without actually getting the Aghanim Scepter upgrade, but it's still a great way of just making sure that somebody's going to take some continuous damage, and it won't be able to cast. You're going to see it on the Necrophos almost exclusively when it comes down to the bigger fights. But for right now, TA's in really a tier all on her own as far as the potential that she can bring to this early game. Until we see some blink splits happen from Rior, it's going to be all on Jao to make things happen across the map. TP responsibly, prevent tower dives, things of that nature. So
I love the TP responsibly. I just have this image of like those drunk driving commercials. Don't try this at home, kids. Oh man. Not to make light of drunk driving, of course, but it's a funny way to look at it. But it's true. Bottom lane, they're diving onto Chrissy, stacking up the goo now. Bristleback will not have a way to cancel this TP, though. They don't have a point in chain for us yet. 820 close to his level 6, but not quite there yet. And he'll make his way out. Still, though, they're really pressuring this Doom a lot in lane, and he's gotten his 20 CS. He's 1-0-2. It's all you could expect, but he has been under the gun nonetheless.
So right now, I guess it's just going to be back down the laning phase for a short period of time. Jao has a TP to react to the fights, but right now he just wants to go ahead and CS for the most part. Like, his movements are going to be pretty projected anyways. When you consider the warding right now, they've got a couple of good wards towards the mid lane to protect Jao, and they just want to emphasize this. They want to say, okay, he's the one that needs to get farmed up. If he gets something like an early Desolator, he's going to go for drums right now, but if he builds up towards that big item after the drums as quickly as possible, then he's going to be making a huge impact on the fight. And we're actually going to see Necro go back for the older build here. The mechanism is going to get picked up. It does cost a decent bit more mana, so he's going to have to manage his mana very carefully, considering he doesn't have arcanes, and it does cost, 225 over 150. So Joe will have to be cautious about that, but all the same, it's a great item with some great stats.
It's still an amazing item, though, and I mean, it is a good point at the same time that Necrophos, this hero has mana issues, generally speaking. His nuke alone is 185 mana, which is, looking at his current mana pool, it's nearly a third. Obviously, if you get the Reaper Scythe kill, you have a huge amount of mana regen, but you have to make sure you get those kills. Otherwise, you're getting off, like, you're getting the mech off, and a single pulse on your ultimate, maybe one more with the stick charges. Or maybe just skip using the ult and use a couple extra pulses. But yeah, it's a limited mana pool he's working with, and until he picks up that next item, like a Shiva's or a Scythe of Vice, maybe even goes Aghanim Scepter. We saw that the other day from Zhou. They are going to be a bit limited in that regard. I do want to mention, this is the second time we've seen a Necrophos pick from the old boys. They did it once in 6.81, and they're doing it again now, so it was a nice game, the game that they won with it, although I feel like a lot of it was their opponents just misplaying more than anything, but I'm really interested to see how well it performs in this patch.
Yeah, it really comes down to him getting the one kill in the fight and kind of getting that snowball rolling. But building up the mechanism also makes him a very high priority Doom target. Like, I already figured he was going to get Doom 9 out of 10 fights when he's actually involved, but now with the mechanism on top, it's essentially they have to keep the Necro alive. They have to create, as soon as he gets doomed, Joe has to back off. The Doom doesn't do as much damage anymore, so it's not going to kill him outright. and they just have to create a buffer for him. Wait those 15 seconds out, and then he can rebound with the mech usage and kind of win the fight from there. But yeah, that's pretty much the only way they have to play it because Kersey is going to be getting up. He's actually building up a headdress of his own, so I don't really see enough value in a pipe at this stage. It might be both teams going for the older build, and they're gonna feel the intensity of those mana issues very quickly.
Intense gank right here. They'll doom the Bristleback, but this does allow a Chain Frost to bounce. Cast. It will bounce to the creeps and then back to him. Now forward to Chrissy. Not really the best juggling for the Lich's purposes, and will end up going down. Some bad bounces there for him, but would have needed really good ones to get that kill and cast. Now 4 heroes rotate in. And Rave will do something that they love to do, which is running at least 4 heroes constantly pushing as an aggressive squad. Often it's with Jo playing the Naga Siren. He is on a TA this time, and he's actually part of the push, so it's a little bit more of a fighter squad than what they normally draw to the table, but nonetheless, it's a potent one. And they'll drop 2 traps, they'll make their way out, and they'll give the Brew time to farm up his Blink Dagger right now, up to 1350 gold. So, overall, Blaze, I mean, first nighttime, absolutely nothing got done for the old boys. In terms of farm, they got it, but it certainly wasn't because of the Night Stalker. And I'm still wondering when this hero's really going to flex his muscles around the map. Didn't have a great lane stage as expected, but still waiting to see the potential of the hero here in the mid game. Has picked up that urn now.
Yeah, I think he needs to get 1 kill before he's actually... It sounds weird, but he's going to have to get 1 kill and get 1 set of earn charges before he's actually going to be able to make that much of a difference up against heroes like TA. Speaking of down bottom.
Could be big. Bounces to the creep wave, though, unfortunately. Not too much to heroes, but it does go back to DD. Now the stump comes out. The Necro ult used on Chrissy, but he's nearly full HP. And now the chase is on Long DD. They'll have to sack him as well. Brewmaster searching for that extra Cyclone. Can't get in range for it. So it's a Brew split deployed there. But they're still leaving Jo to farm this middle lane. Xiaowei, unable to really do anything. He's quite impotent right now. Oh, the one other change with Night Stalker was the darkness was improved.
Definitely.
Which, I don't know if we talked about it yet, but I did mention it the other day. Cinderin, it's still a lot of daytime for that first 2 nights.
Exactly.
Like in between them, and they don't even last that long.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely going to find his stride a little bit closer to the 12-minute mark and building that up. We'll see if he can actually manage level 11 by then. But right now, he's just, without a single Urn of Shadows charge, can do absolutely nothing to Jo, and that's who he's gotten the most face time with for the most part. Like, he hasn't been rotating to try to help out on the side lanes because really he needs the experience. He needs that momentum, but right now it's kind of passive. He's getting 46 CS, 0 kills. This is not where you want your Night Stalker to be at, but it's pretty much his only choice.
Yeah, the rest of OB are still pretty strong in their pushing efforts, but with the Shaman wards down now, this will be a tougher push-in for them. And I'm actually wondering if they should keep on beating their head on the same wall. Because Rave still have pretty much their full squad here, and they're getting the better of the push mid. Night Stalker just can't slow this down. They're going to wrap around now, and they'll go straight onto the Necrophos. With no Chain Frost here to punish it, there's really nothing they can do. They'll be forced to sack the Necro. Now the Lich gets swapped in 5 seconds for Chain Frost, but he's chain stun. Then critted down, Xiaowei TP's in to no avail. And Jo, on the chase here for the Bristleback, will try to finish the job. Continues to pursue him through the woods. He'll juke, hoping the trap will go the wrong way, but he walks right back into the blades of Jo. Another kill for the Pinoy / Korean squad. They are, right now, dominating in China. This is the 3rd game they've looked really hot out of the gates in a row. Granted, it's been a total of 3 games against 2 opponents, but they look good once again on the new patch, and they're off to a substantial lead at this point after that fight. 2,000 gold lead, 2,000 experience lead.
Definitely. And Night Stalker also popped Darkness in that without accomplishing anything at all. So Xiaowei really just not feeling where he's going to hit his stride and his timing. Like, they have to start moving together. The Night Stalkers get on the front lines. Necro doesn't eat the brunt of the damage, but Shows just has to play so scared because this Doom really does define how he has to play. So very unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it goes when you don't have any other really good Doom targets. And yeah, that mechanism pickup isn't helping him either. So Jo has to play it safe. Has to make sure that when the Doom ulti is up, that he is going to be on the back line and Night Stalker's leading the charge. But for now, it's going to be a smoke play down bottom. I think they do have enough potential to get 1 hero pretty easily. It's a interesting skill build from Shadow Shaman, but should be sufficient if they can just close the distance to get that first spell off.
Yeah, one thing to mention is that the Shackle's mana cost is quite a bit higher at level 1. 140. I think it used to be, what was it, 9? 110. So it's a decent increase, but they go in bottom on Chrissy. He's already popped a Scorched Earth. Still, he might be focused down. That's going to be the earn charges for Xiaowei. His first 2 of the game. Brew will blink in. He gets silenced for his trouble. But they'll be forced back. Ninja Boogie swapping one in. Long DD gets his wards off, and then that's it. The mech just not enough. He just got melted.
Yeah, and the Mass Serpent Ward loss there is even worse than the fact that they lost the Shadow Shaman. I mean, not being able to push any tier 1s at this stage in the game. They did get the top one, obviously, but they want to get more off the map. They want to buy space to control Roshan and control the pit in general. Xiao, as you mentioned, has been great on rune control right now. He's actually gotten double rune the past 2 minutes, this 2 minutes ago, as well as this 14-minute spawn. So, I mean, he is definitely making it so he can sustain, he can just spam out his spells, bottle up, and keep moving, and that movement speed obviously speeds him to that. But we still haven't really seen him really impact kills. Like, he helped out in the last one, but it hasn't been the Night Stalker factor really so far.
It's a 0-0 and 1 Night Stalker, and ultimately, you just don't pick this hero to go 0-0 and 1. Maybe if the entire enemy team was dying, and you were just getting all the runes while your team got the kills, that would be okay. But it's very rare that I've ever seen a Night Stalker game where I felt he's impactful, where he doesn't have a bunch of kills, or at the very least a bunch of assists. That said, he is, like you said, he's doing a bit more now. Interestingly, not using the ultimate at nighttime, I guess waiting for the level 2 ult to start using it. I'm not sure on the math for that, like how much longer it's going to take until he gets his level 2 ult versus... Because I'm feeling like it will take at least a minute or two.
Yeah, he thinks the same. It's honestly not worth it to wait that long. Like,
Might have
he
even
was
just
on the
forgot.
verge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens too. I've seen that plenty of times with Night Stalker players. But he's got it now. They're going to go for the dive. Jo, he does not get earned just yet. And in fact, they're just forcing TPs. But the swap comes in and they're committed.
That extra range, I don't think the old 600 range swap would have been good enough. But with the 650, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 650, 700, yeah. But yeah, doesn't really matter anyway. And he just runs out.
Yeah. Still, you see how like reactive they're playing. Whenever they get opportunities, they just TP to a tier 1 tower. That's why they're even more important than just for gold right now is the general position on the map. We do see down bottom that Jo is going to get hit by the Doom and the Death Ward. Nice stomp from Chrissy.
That Death Ward continues to do work. They're coming in, though, with reinforcements. Night Stalker in from the sidelines. The backup arrives from Long DD, who does have his wards available. If they get this kill, they might be able to transition into a push. Now the TA joining the fight, but that Urn Charge is going to chew through the Refraction. It's instantly gone as Chain Frost bounces to the wave. Potentially back. Well, the Brew Split will be enough to zone them off regardless. The Brewling's harmlessly tanking it. The Cyclone and the Lich up in the air. But shall we? He'll come back in and look for round 2 as this Brew Split ends. There's no one to back him up. Ryo's in a bit far. He'll blink to the south of the wards. Void can be used here, and it will be. Can he get off the clap? Now silencing the Witch Doctor, but he already got off his cask, so it's not really the best silence. Unfortunately, too much of a cast animation, but they still continue diving. Looking for Ryo. Blink out of the trees. OB thwarted in their efforts to find kills. While in the mid lane, Rave doing the easy thing. They're pushing it with the level 2 Vengeance R. Last hit will go the way of Jo. Now picked up a Yasha. And still, 3-0 and 2. He is starting to get a bit of a kill streak. Though I suppose in this patch, it's always debatable whether or not that's a good thing to actually have that streak. But as long as you're not dying, it certainly is.
Yeah, they're going to have to put all their efforts into keeping him alive throughout the next few fights. He's accruing a lot of net worth right now, 7,400, and a support kill, picking him off, something like that would be just absolutely immense. But we do see that old boys are kind of forming their plan now. They have the Vanguard up in the bristleback. I'm sure that's going to be a Crimson Guard as soon as possible, and that is going to allow them to dive very deep underneath towers and up against this lineup in general. The Brewmaster split, for example, won't do any damage other than the Fire Panda. The Fire Panda will do above 50, but when Crimson Guard is active, the Earth, the Wind Panda, and some of the supports won't be hitting for hardly anything.
Yeah, Crimson Guard is... It's an interesting item as well. I've tried it a few times in pubs now, and there was one game against illusion-based heroes that feels incredibly strong.
Oh, yeah.
Like, your team is... And basically, you know, I've heard a few people complaining about playing against PL in pubs. The hero's been fine in my games, but... I will say that Crimson Guard completely neuters that hero, so... and to some extent other illusion-based heroes as well. Like your Naga Siren. Well, obviously there's still Radiance Burn and Riptide, but outside of that, the actual auto attacks aren't that scary for most of the game, so... I think we'll see this item in situational kind of matchups, and I guess the question is this the right game for it? There is Meld, there is the minus armor that comes out from a Vengeful Spirit, and TA will hit pretty damn hard. I mean, you look with Refraction up right now, she's still hitting for like 170 damage or so. And she's always got that damage as well, even after that 9 seconds wear off.
Yeah, it's not incredible versus the TA, but with the ice armor and the fact that they already have the mech, I think it's still a really good thing for against the rest of the team. We are going to see an early rush play come out from the Radiant side here. They smoked in, so although they have the Dire Ward on the bottom rune, we just see that the old boys are huddling under the tower. They think the smoke gang's for them, but it is for the big man in the pit. They bring him down nice and easy here at the 1850 mark, and this is going to give them huge tempo to just burst down towers. I mean, they've got Aegis on a Templar Assassin who just has been surviving through every fight, 3-0 and 2, and now with this second life, they just feel unstoppable.
Yeah, and still feeling like the Night Stalker pick has yet to really pay for itself. Didn't shut down the TA in lane, hasn't found too many kills since then, hasn't controlled the map too effectively. 2 of the 3 cores in Rave are farming well, extremely well in the case of the TA, and they're they're getting aggressive here. They were trying to chase down Long DD as he walked up the ramp, but couldn't get in range for it. Well, we'll see. With the Roshan now down, I mean, that is one of the other things with this OB draft, is they had some Roche potential. They had Goo, they had Shaman Wards, but they just... And the Frost Armor to make them tankier through it, but they just never even really saw an opening to go for that Roche.
No, they've definitely been under the pressure of Rave this entire time. Like you said, out of the gate, they've been showing their strength substantially every single time. The splits off cooldown, they're pretty much ready for a fight, but they're going to be forcing a little bit on the top lane here, moving in towards that Brewmaster Aghanims. They're going to look for at least one more tower to push down. But, of course, old boys will try to counteract that, dropping down the wards, force the fortify on the mid tier 1.
Yeah, Glyph will be forced out. Jay will come in to start cleaning these up, and yeah, he'll be one-shotting them, getting a lot of gold on the TA, as though he didn't have enough already. Piling onto his farm count. Up to 2,900 gold. It's still not an overwhelming lead for Raid by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a decent one. 3,000 gold, 3,000 experience. I honestly think both lineups are quite strong late game, though. As much as the Night Stalker doesn't feel impactful right now, Necrophos is a hero that scales well into the late game. It can get to the point where TA can't really burst him if he gets the farm. Frost Armor will be effective against her. It now has the same effectiveness against range heroes as melee instead of the half effectiveness, so I think their lineup's decent. Chain Frost can be good, but I mean, end of the day, at some point, this Doom will get an Ags and a Refresher, and that's just so difficult for any lineup to fight against. Especially now, the Ags will be more important, which he is working on, and with that, Bristleback will be disabled. Now swap them in on DD. Caught out by a swap. Then the Magic Missile to come through. They'll send the Cast Flight as well, and a Witch Doctor ult. He's tanky with that Crimson Guard, but not tanky enough. The Death Ward, the Midas Armor, pretty easily killed off while being on bottom lane. Chrissy Doom shall aid, but, well, he's still very fast at nighttime. And it looks like he'll be able to run this one out. No Blink Dagger on Doom.
Yeah, still this is a timing window when there's only the split up as far as Radiant Ultimates, so we could see the old boys get some pressure out. Rior looks for some long-range initiation, but it's not going to happen. Jowie's going to be perfectly fine here. But yeah, in this position, I think the Necro late game is something to be feared by Rave. Essentially, if the game goes too long, we're going to see, since there is no BKB up in sight for the Doom for quite some time, Crippling Fear negate his Doom presence, and then they can just go ahead and reprecise them. And if they do go for the Aghanim Scepter, maybe not as this first point booster item, but maybe the second, then we could definitely see people that are stuck in the grave with buyback available, but negated by this. Oh no, he's going straight for the axe. Wow. No Bloodstone, no build-up, just go hard for it. And yeah, this means that any person that he reprecised not only will have 30 seconds added to their death timer, but also will not be able to buy back.
Could be a very big deal. And one thing I do want to mention, by the way, since we were talking about Crimson Guard, is it does not block damage from Death Ward. So, as we saw there, it still chews through them. And the other spells it doesn't block damage from, for those wondering, are Plague Wards, Serpent Wards, and Exorcism. So I believe it does block damage from Razor's Ultimate, is the other main like physical damage spell that comes to mind. So it can be pretty good against that.
Yeah, but it's not really going to be a factor of the like a selfish pickup. It's not going to give the Bristleback himself that much durability. He already naturally gets 80% chance for 40 blocks, so 100% chance for 50 isn't that much more EHP. But for his teammates, it's absolutely immense. It's pretty much a vanguard for everyone for that short time frame. So they're going to actually be able to focus him down pretty easily right now. But his teammates are just going to be as tanky as him, and soon enough it'll be hard for them to prioritize their targets, at least until Rare picks up this Aghanims, which is pretty much already here. Like, this Ag Scepter is still absolutely immense as a pickup, and it's going to be scary if they can't cripple him before the clap and Split comes out.
Smoke gank. Xiaowei does have his BKB now. This is a big item for them. He could still be doomed, of course, and somewhat controlled by the minus armor that a TA and Venge will offer. Maybe you swap away to try and survive for a time, but he'll be a lot more durable now, that's for damn sure. And just not getting that initial magic missile stun off will make it much harder to deal with him in the fights. It's a nice item for him if they can find that fight, but Rave are also on the smoke, and unfortunately, they missed them. They're not going to cross paths in the night. Jo will push through the top lane, and it looks like we'll have a good old-fashioned tower trade. OB will take the first one. They do have the Shaman wards online, and I'm curious to see if they go for a tier 2 now.
Yeah, they do have Glyph because of the tier 1 tower getting taken down, but they're going to commit with the Nest Serpent wards, and this is where the split comes into play. Rio looking for his opening, and if he gets it, this is huge.
Chrissy caught out, but there's a Bruce split. Didn't go for the clap, just made sure he got the split off ASAP. Now Boulder tosses long DD, cycling up the Bristle back in the air, and just waiting out this Night Stalker BKB. Chain Frost is thrown through. It'll bounce beautifully here between everyone, but the Death Ward goes to work on the backlines of the fight, chewing through 820, finishing him off. Now splashing forward on the long DD. This Witch Doctor ult, a full duration ult, but it's not enough on its own. They'll need help here from Jo. They finished off the wards. It did the work. Now 3 have fallen, and they look for more. The DD on the run, but being pursued out by an army of bashers here. Chrissy, a bruiser number 1. Ryo, bruiser number 2. Blink clap, and wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. It's a double kill for Jo. Now on a mega kill streak. That bounty quickly getting bigger and bigger. But it's only if they kill him that they can score it, and right now, he feels close to invulnerable in fights because he just never has to go in first.
Yeah, exactly. He gets so much initiation in front of him, and he's already has some good defensive capabilities through the refraction and the mild. So, yeah, he's able to just, as long as he plays it safe, doesn't like farm too aggressively and get picked off. In the fights themselves, he's a very hard one to bring down, although obviously, as you mentioned, he's the most important. But, yeah, I think we're really feeling the negative aspect of this mech pickup on Jo. He hasn't used it in a single fight here. They haven't been able to disengage with him because he just gets focused down so hard. One cask, one magic missile, and he's locked down enough for the Doom, the right clicks to take their toll. So I would actually just would love to see some more effective HP items on him. Maybe go for the Shivas, maybe go for, I mean, obviously the Bloodstone was already mentioned and probably obsolete at this point. But no matter the case, like right now, he's just not making the impact on the team fights he needs to the point that he might just have to consider like staying back with a Blink Dagger and waiting until the Doom comes out on somebody else.
I should try to show the team fight recap for those big ones. So it is actually added to the live broadcasting now, which is pretty cool. I still find their implementation really cluttered, though. Like showing every single item and ability cooldown basically is, to me, it feels a bit excessive. But we'll see. We'll see if they offer like a trimmed down option or something. Is it covers the whole screen, man. Either way, they're waiting on the high ground now, smoked up and looking for an opening. But don't hit the illusion.
Smoke on an illusion. Well, like he had smoke on him at that point in time. That was a huge mistake.
Well, the Venge was like right over here though. So.
No, he still had smoke when he went for the right click. So that was just a knee-jerk reaction that.
It may have broken very soon anyway. She was pretty close, but yeah, that's an unfortunate one. It would have been a tough jump anyway with the way Rave had 5 there, also near their tier 2. It could have really gone south for them quickly. But either way, it's not going to matter.
We're going to see the Bristleback move in towards a Heaven's Halberd here, but I think that it's not going to be that effective since we see the BKB come out for Jo at exactly the same time. Like, you can disarm some of the other heroes here, but really it's all for the TA. And as long as she times her BKB carefully, it's only going to be impactful after that long 10 seconds. And by then, usually the fight's over. Rave really put a lot of emphasis on 5 seconds.
He's found Cast in the Woods, but he knows if he voids that he'll just TP out. And he just doesn't have the damage to actually even threaten for a kill. So instead, he smacks him once, wastes a BKB charge, and then runs away. That is... that's not working. This Night Stalker pick is just not working.
Yeah, and in general, like, this is 28 minutes in. Like, what do you expect a Night Stalker to really accomplish towards the mid to late game? Generally speaking, this metagame has to at least have some late game relevance in all your heroes. Like, you can't just pick up somebody that doesn't contribute anything at all. I want to say Crystal Maiden, but obviously her ulti does bring something to the table. But like Night Stalker, if he farms up an Abyssal and an AC and a Heart, then maybe he contributes. But like right now, he's just running around with BKB, Urn, and he has done absolutely nothing this game. Just not really because of Xiao 8's movements, but just because the hero itself is impotent against a hero like Templar Assassin.
I guess the main thing is if they're able to end these streaks. Like, let's say he ends the TA streak. That's where he could get a lot of gold that in the old version he never would really get. I mean, well, you would get a decent amount of that for ending the streak, but you wouldn't get all that bonus gold for net worth differential, which is still fairly minor. It's a 5,000 net worth difference, a 5,000 experience difference. But it may add up more as Rave continue to take towers and objectives. Xiao will take a bottom tier 2, which honestly is a pretty damn good trade for this team, if it wasn't for the fact that they'd also lost the mid tier 2. So now they're looking at just the one outer tower in the bottom lane. Two outer towers for Rave remaining. I guess that does give the Nightstalker a little more potency later on in the game, potentially though, Blaze, because this is normally a hero that falls off due to farm speed issues. It's why we've seen Midas pickups often. Demon's gone for Midas a few times on the hero. I forget who else has run it that has gone for it. Is it Hani, maybe? Yeah, I think Hani ran it a bit for Fnatic in 6.81.
Mm-hmm.
So with those extra bounties, it could help compensate for his poor farm speed, but barring that, he is going to remain relatively poor. He's actually done a very good job for a Nightstalker in terms of farm. 127 CS. He has really kept it up, but I mean, he is falling behind his opponent mid lane at this point.
Yeah, they're kind of spreading their wealth among three. They don't have one that's shining with like 300 CS that's going to be equal among the Necro, the Bristle, the Nightstalker. So everybody gets a little bit of a slice of that pie. But yeah, in this position, it's still, they have to be very collaborative in their efforts to bring down Templar Assassin. They don't have anything that pierces through magic immunity as far as disables other than the Scythe, and you generally don't want to use it that way. You want to use it to get a kill. So in this position, just they feel like they don't have a disable against her. No bashers just yet. And yeah, we'll see. But for now, it's going to be a kiting game using the Force Staff and the Ice Armor to try to peel away from the Templar Assassin whenever she goes in for the BKB engage. But easier said than done when he's hunting with an Invis Rune. Like, oh, this Shadow Shaman. If he doesn't run for the hills right now, he's already dead.
It could actually end really poorly for him, though, with the backup that's coming his way. Oh, no, he'll get the kill. So,
Pop, pop.
So much for that.
Just,
in my head, there was like this world where it actually worked, but there's a force step forward, and then a swap back into a Death Ward and Doom on Xiao Wei bottom lane. Really nice combo, but he got off his BKB in time, so they couldn't Magic Missile stun him. If that hadn't happened, he's probably going down. But quick reactions there from Xiao Wei.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised they didn't just go for Roshan in the timing window that was created from Jay. Actually, they're going to go now, so they're going to just force the issue, say, okay, we don't even have to be subtle about it. We're going to go in. You guys only have like 3 heroes that are full HP, so there's really not much that you can do. And honestly, they don't. They don't have pit invading mechanics. They don't have Firefly. They don't have any AoE damage. In fact, they're fighting right after taking Roche.
Oh, these pandas won't do much except control, but that's all they need to do. Ninja Boogie will come in to help out in the damage department. Stun's there. The cast bounces beautifully. Now they can focus on DD. He's caught out and surrounded by 5, continuing to stack up the traps. They need to get the TA close to him, but she's being blocked by a party of pandas. Just can't get in where she wants to. Well, now she can. Goes on to long DD. Finishes him off as well. The Chain Frost was quite good, though, forcing a lot of the backline heroes off, and now JO's BKB will end. I think wisely he's going to retreat here, and they'll kind of cut their losses as 820 also retreats. They lost their Doom, they lost their Venge. He is 8-0-5. This bounty continues to be more and more important, and I think very intelligently is slow rolling it and not giving too many openings the other way.
One thing I want to mention is how big that kill on Doom was. Dire side just gained like 1,300 gold despite Zhou buying back. Like, buyback is right now 870 gold, but they still had a 1,200 net gain because they brought down the Doom. And of course, he's the second in net worth right now. So that kill is still extremely huge. And they are actually kind of pulling back just a little bit. Wasn't the cleanest fight for sure, but it wasn't an absolute disaster. So they actually come out with more gold to bear on all their heroes, and I mean, comebacks are gradual, but in this patch, there's a lot more momentum shift just with 1 or 2 pickoffs there, so pretty huge.
And Rave now with still the Aegis on their side, Blaze. I guess the question is, are they strong enough to try and force the high ground? Do they want to do that, or are they better suited just trying to farm and extend their advantage and go for like that perfect siege where you just don't give up any kills and try and break the base flawlessly?
Well, the Aegis only lasts 5 minutes, so they definitely want to make use of that. Jo is in a situation where he essentially cannot die, so at least not without the Aegis. So if he dies, he gives up so much to the enemy team, they swing back entirely. And so they have to make use of this immortality phase where he's able to just go in with a 9-second BKB, which he's practically immortal in already, and then have that second life available. So they definitely want to force the issue. It looks like bottom lane will be where it's at, but it's in time for the old boys to finish up an A siege. Yeah, wait, looking pretty good now as far as his item progression after that last big kill. And he is going to be able to at least provide that aura and negative aura.
Rave will take the tier 2 bottom lane. It's the final outer tower of game 1 for Tongfu.OB boys. And we'll check buybacks here. They don't have any. No buyback available on the Necrolite. Actually, he did use it in the last fight. I don't think I ever explicitly mentioned that, but they don't have any extra lives. Something the Chinese teams normally do have available when defending high ground historically, but they won't have it. So let's see how much it matters. For now, the siege begins. Jo up onto the front lines. He gets off that meld shot on Bristleback, but without the minus armor from Venge, without the Doom on him, he is still one tanky armadillo.
And look at Joe's positioning right now. Like, in that siege, like, he's always staying back. He's waiting for the Doom to come out. He picked up that Blink Dagger that I was talking about earlier, and he just really wants to wait for the perfect opening to jump in, start meching, start heal bombing, and look for the Reaper Scythe. So it's a really smart positioning and moving from him, and makes it very difficult for Rave to feel confident sieging. Now the smokes come out, the ice armors are there, and one thing I'll mention is that I haven't really been seeing Riort do much as far as his Dispel Magic skill on the Wind Panda. Like, he's been doing a lot of really good haze and clap play during his ultimate, but he hasn't been dispelling any of these ice armors, and that's making it difficult.
Here comes the smoke now. DD in the front lines, the Night Stalker out here as well. They haven't been spotted just yet, and they're about to close in on Rio. This will be a big one. Can he blink out? No, gets voided. Now he's in trouble. They're going to lose the Brewmaster off the bat. The Doom does come out on Joe. He's been caught outside the base, and it's an Aghanim's Witch Doctor ult, bouncing to everyone. Still not canceled. Finally, they locate Cass to bring him down, but it cost them 2 already. Oh, can they fight through even so? Jo on the chase now. He's looking for additional kills, but he's slowed down. And he might die once here, but he still has Aegis for round number 2. They'll try and pop that Aegis trap deployed again as DD continues his retreat. The Ice Armor is doing quite a bit of work. Now the Goo thrown out. Chrissy might fall here, and then they can try and focus down the TA solo. Jo, the last man standing, but a very difficult one to bring out once, let alone twice. Can he actually get up the hill and make something happen here? He's got another trap. He'll need like 2 more meld crits. It's just not enough. With the AC now on Shao 8 and the Ice Armor earlier in that fight, once his team dies, it is difficult for him to find those kills from there.
Yeah, so he can boast that he stayed alive throughout all that, but all the same, like, he doesn't have that control potential, that chase potential against a hero that moves this damn fast at nighttime. 465, just cruising by, and as you mentioned, the AC positive effects. So he's mitigated quite substantially. The crit will certainly help, but he's still not in that position where without like an MKB, he can feel continuously perfect in his damage output. He's still getting crippled a lot in the fights, still getting halberded when the BKBs are off, and yeah, has to be careful about his next move. But that was a good flank smoke coming in from the side of the Dire. I mean, obviously you see the golden experience graph tumbling back in favor of Tongfu.OB boys, and this is what it's all about, is just getting the right kills on the right targets after the dust settles, after the net worth is against you, and that's going to give you just this huge momentum swing. Shiva's Guard will be coming out for DD soon, and all these items suddenly start popping up for Tongfu. So it is really the rebound that we're seeing from their side in general, and if the Necro in particular gets a little more tanky, this is going to be even more difficult for Rave to break the base.
Yeah, after working to build that lead this entire game, one fight cuts it about half, and it was I think a 4-for-2, was it, or 4-for-3?
Yeah, it wasn't clean, so I know they lost at least 2. The third one, I can't recall.
I only remember Night Stalker and the Bristleback alive at the end, but it was at least a 4-for-2. And they did not lose the Aegis or the TA there, but with that said, Aegis is now expired, so let's see if
so
we
short
can fight
now,
around
at 5
soon.
minutes. That's no time at all to really make use of it.
It's amazing how much that 1 minute, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, a 20% increase, but it's just that 1 extra minute often is the difference maker. DD will get caught out in the woods now. Trap number 1 is used. Trap number 2 can be deployed. They'll blink and they'll clap for him. They use the Shiva's Guard to slow him down. He is quite tanky, but now gets swapped back into the Doom. Do they want to use the Aghanim's Doom on him? Doesn't seem so. And now with the double minus armor, yeah, then he really starts to drop quickly as the Crimson Guard wears off as well. And Rave will now push in for the high ground. Bristleback, no buyback available. He's 1,000 gold short of this, but they're afraid to go high ground, Blaze. They know how quickly this will turn if this goes wrong. And with no Aegis on TA, imagine if this streak ends 8-0 and 8. It's going to be pretty damn big.
It'll be insane, but for right now, he'll get some damage on the tower. The Crippling Fear will be manted off immediately. They need Joe to make a huge play here, but how do they stop him from getting the BKB off? They get the Blink Hex, but he's got so much backup, it's so difficult to hold. They drop the Mass Serpent Wards and defensive posture, and that's enough to force Rave back for the moment. The Mass Serpent Wards will time out, but by then the Bristleback will be alive, and Rave don't have much ground to stand on here. So they back off once again, and the game will stretch out a little bit more. They get more gold for themselves. They make it so that obviously the wards won't be up for a little bit here, but all the same, I think that old boys are really just happy to get a moment's reprieve.
Yeah, they just still hold the high ground, and I mean, the one thing that is worth talking about is although Jo continues to be the most farmed here on the map, and Doom obviously still has Devour Gold, making him the second most farmed, they have done a decent job of keeping their CS up overall. Your Necrolite with 236 for Jo. Unfortunately, he's died 5 times, so he's still not topping the net worth charts by any means. But then the Bristleback and the Night Stalker, they're a bit ahead of this Doom and Brew, so overall in terms of CS, I think we have like a slight lead going the way, for as far as cores go at least, for the old boys. But for now, at least, it's still Jo that is the main hitter in this game. And they'll blink in looking for long DD mid lane. They're going to push down the lane again. Do they actually try to crack the base now? They've got a ward spotting out some of these OB heroes, but the old boys quickly retreat. Do they want to breach the base this time? That's the question. Shaman wards cooling down for 45. And I guess that's the one cooldown that they were waiting for, but they don't have a creep wave. Jo will come and try to hit the tower a few times. And then he'll start backing off. The Google will go onto him. He still has the BKB and Manta if need be. So not an easy target to focus.
Yeah, unless they're willing to clap and split inside the base, there's really no fight here. Like, every single time they go on the tower, the creep will be demolished. But if they get a pick-off, that could be different. We do see the Hex come out, but I think it hit an illusion there. Just instantly kills it, and the Shadow Shaman himself doesn't really get much traction. So not sure if that was the intent, just prevent some damage on the tower, or if they actually were looking for the counter kill. In either case,
it was like right as the Manta got popped, so probably an accident, though.
Sure. But one big factor here is the Chain Frost in this choke point. Like, with the creeps bouncing it around, even if though it will dissipate some of the damage, it's still going to hurt, it's still going to be difficult, and you can't guarantee that long duration depth ward without the BKB. There's the Hex, though.
BKB on to, now going on to Jo. They'll try and focus him down, but they've doomed up Jo, and they'll immediately lose him. As this fight continues, the Doom will pop his Shiva's Guard. Now everyone trying to retreat. The wards are doing good damage. The Chain Frost, not too effective, only bouncing to the Brewmaster aspects. Will at least force the rest of the squad back. And in the end, Jo will be forced to buy back for this, so it's a pretty expensive defense in that sense. As you'll see Brewmaster blinking away, but they look for the kills. They almost stop the Vengeance TP. They can stop Cast here with the Hex, and they will get the kill. So they lose just the Witch Doctor. And they do force out a more important buyback on paper in the Necrolites.
You know, what's interesting, though, is the fact that Necro still got, despite the buyback, got an overall gold gain. He had 460 gold gain because of the kills they get. It's just so valuable to pick off enemies when they are this much in net worth advantage. So.
And this isn't even that big of a lead, man. This is a 7,500 net worth lead. Like, 6.81. Every other Dota version I've ever cast, it was so common to see 10k gold lead. And yeah, some of that was with the gold earns graph, but I mean, 20k wasn't that unusual. We've seen comebacks from that stage even. I don't know that I've seen the difference in net worth ever go above 10,000 in a 6.82 game. At least not in competitive. I'm sure it's happened plenty of times in pubs. But yeah. I've yet to see it in a competitive match. It will happen at some point, but it's just been, for the most part, very even games.
It's just because teams in general feel like they have to force the issue before the late game becomes such a wash. Like, when you're passing the torch back and forth, that it's kind of the flag that you pick up and they just have to take out of your fingertips. It's going to be more and more difficult to know what happens next, to be confident in your ability to take the 50-minute fight, 60-minute fight, because of what might be lurking, what potential items might be picked up by the side of Tongfu. So this Aegis, it might be the last one that Rave are confident in using on the front line here. They want to make something happen. They'll wait out maybe the darkness a little bit, but with that buff to darkness, as well as the fact that it is, of course, a very long duration and short cooldown at level 16, it's going to be a long night, and I think they're just going to have to push through as is. So they get the cheese up as well. It's on the Doom, who did pick up a BKB. Very smart pickup against the silences coming out from Night Stalker. And yeah, it's going to be AC versus AC. I think this is their time.
I almost wonder if at this point your trump card is just the refresher on Doom, and if you even want to consider waiting until you can farm that. Because that is a pretty big way to kind of lock OB down, but for now they're not going to use it, or they're not going to farm that up. They'll blink in with Ryo, they'll clap as well, and They are sieging, but with Frost Armor that can be used on this tower, it's very difficult to push in. And one thing, I guess, to think about is the item progression that OB could have if they win a big fight. Abyssal Blade potentially coming out for a Night Stalker late game. At that point, it almost doesn't matter how farmed your TA is. She can just be bash-lorded. But they go in right now, focusing on cast. They're not going to allow a Death Ward out this fight. Doom also joining the fray. He once again managed to get the Doom on Joe, and they try to force the high ground. They're standing together. Divided will fall, they say. Looking for the kill on Joe. He drops low to the traps. Another boulder toss, but the Bristleback is starting to stack up the quills. Will kill off Ninja Boogie. Will kill off Chrissy. That high ground hold. Oh, this is going to be ugly. They have the TA for round 2, but that's 3 dead. It's going to be a 4th probably going down here. Jo has no TP scroll. He tries to turn and fight, but they just focus him with 2. With the Shiva's guard here, Bristleback literally turning and just just not even auto-attacking now. The Urn was used defensively to try and keep him alive. They're just ignoring Jo. That's a 1,200 gold bouncy down the drain, and I don't even want to see the graph. This is going to be extremely ugly for them, but they did force out a Night Stalker buyback, and in exchange also used a Venge buyback. But they also lost their Aegis too.
4,000 gold in that fight, swinging towards the Dire. Tongfu are right back in this game after one big wipe. They went for a pseudo all-in play to an extent, just because like you said, they could have waited for the refresher, but they wanted to try to end the game where they still felt stable. But they survived long enough. They bring down TH Weiss, and from there, so much gold going back the way of the old boys. The net worth graph, TA was just on a pedestal prior to this fight, but now 19.7k on the Bristle, 17.8 on Xiao 8, and that Abyssal isn't all that questionable now. It's not really a luxury item anymore. It's in the cards in a very short time span.
Abyssal is always a luxury item for Night Stalker, but hey, we are getting to that point where you can start to make some luxury purchases, and at the same time, Jo is still very farmed. He will pick up an MKB here, but it's scary when you have an Aegis and all you get is the tier 3. They didn't even damage the range Rex once. Part of it is the nature of the OB draft, where they have Frost Armor, they have a lot of very durable heroes. It's difficult at this stage for TA to get those bursty kills. That much is true. But at the same time, you expect more out of an Aegis with a TA this farm, with the Vengeful Spirit having max Vengeance Aura. They just can't damage buildings. It is somewhat a limitation of their draft, to be fair. They don't have a Death Prophet, they don't have a Shadow Shaman, they don't have a Razor with an Aghs Refresher. This is not really a pushing lineup per se, and that is making it more difficult for them to crack the base. But that said, it also hurts when you give up that much gold, that's for sure.
Yeah, now it's just so much more convoluted as far as the fight progression. We're going to see the Basher come out, so no buyback for Xiao 8 if he does get picked off. But one thing to mention is that the Doom isn't even going to be going for a Refresher Orb just yet, if at all. I guess he'll sell the mech after, but for now he's going for Shiva's Guard. The negative aura is okay, but I mean, Night Stalker's already got a ton of attack speed, and the Bristleback doesn't really rely on the right clicks as much as just the damage from his Quill Spray. So by Chrissy going for the Shivas instead of the Refresher Orb, I've got to question if they're going to have enough to actually be confident in subsequent team fights.
I don't think they can. I'm starting to feel like they just can't kill Bristleback. Part of it last fight was he did have evasion from Heaven's Halberd. Xiao 8's also had it. The MKB was a much needed item to kill these heroes, but even so, I mean, now he's got a heart. That's a big pickup, regardless of whether or not he's got evasion to factor in as well. And it's also going to be a concern for Jo that his BKB is starting to wear down. It's now down to a 6-second BKB. He can't rebuy his BKB either. And the other thing is the Frost Armor. This stage of the game, it's a max Frost Armor from the Lich. He's almost going to have the level 3 ultimate soon. And a right clicker just in general is really ineffective against a TA. Especially when you can't even close to one-shot any of their cores.
Yeah, we're going to have to see a huge performance from the Brewmaster in particular. He's the one set up for a huge success with this Aghadim's AC, and I think he's actually the one that can really change how this plays out the most. Obviously, they still need to get the Doom onto the Necro, and Jo in turn has to just try to stay back and wait to blink back in, but yeah, it's actually looking to a point where Rave aren't comfortable going with another high ground assault. I mean, if it didn't work last time, it's certainly not going to work this time when they're that much more farmed. So they have to look for a pickoff. They have to look for an opening across the map, kind of pen in the old boys inside the Dire base, and just try to farm more efficiently across the map.
Yeah, maybe what they have to do is just catch someone from OB out and just force them to waste a buyback. And then if you kill that hero again, then they can't buy back to defend the fight, and you'll have that turn where it's an expensive buyback, but you still get so much gold it makes up for it. So this may become more of a patience game for Rave as we hit the 49-minute mark. Haster now potentially going to get picked up. Yeah, Chrissy will grab it. I'm still almost thinking just like they'll need also... Maybe they just want to farm until Chrissy has a refresher. I'm really starting to feel like that's a big item for them to pick up.
Yeah,
Just, obviously, you need to lock down Necro, because if you don't, he heals this whole team. But they also have to remove this Bristleback passive. He is just too damn beefy with it.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that the plate mail should be a casual pickup here. Like, obviously, we usually see that item where, like, okay, yeah, he's going for Shivas, but I feel like he should just hold on to it casually, not necessarily sell it, because it could be a Shivas later on, but he definitely needs that refresher first and foremost. He has the mana pool to support it, and I think it's just too relevant. But we do see the MKB, the Cheese, and the BKB are all up, and it looks like they want to force the issue, or at least doing some slow siege with the illusions for now.
If they want to kill the range tracks with those illusions, we're gonna have to see this siege like 8 more times. Oh man, there's still a glyph as well to factor in. This could be a long one if that's the way that Rave are gonna try to crack open this base, and that's only gonna work for the ranged. They're not doing enough damage to siege the melee that way.
Mm-hmm. Another big pickup that they need to find is the Witch Doctor BKB. If he gets an Aghanim's ulti throughout the fight, gets up to level 16 maybe even, then Cast is going to be a huge player in these engagements. But right now the Abyssal is being progressed towards quite rapidly from Xiao 8. Of course, they still have the Necro ulti, so there are answers, but not convenient ones. So I still say that the BKB is probably something they want to delay for.
And now they will make their move out of the base. A little bit more aggressive play from OB. They want to jump Jo here. This will be a big pick off. Is he going to get caught? He's right now on the front lines. Wave of Terror will scout them out. Doom blinks in. He gets the Doom off on DD, but they're not doing anything to address Xiao 8 right now, who charges after the Vengeful Spirit, removing that damage almost immediately from the fight, and now turning to focus on Cass. Xiao 8 tanking through Jo's auto attacks. BKB already been deployed, but he stands strong with the Brew. Right now a 2-for-1. They'll clean up the wards, though, and they'll boulder toss Xiao 8. It's going to be a 2-for-2 with wards wasted. DD, though, coming back into the fight. He knows this Doom... Oh, no, actually won't be worried off, because Doom continues to stay next to him. So the Aghanim Scepter burn will persist for ages. Now they chase him up to the north. The trap's there, and as long as they can just stay locked on DD, he's not nearly as difficult to deal with. They've got the MKB going through now, but finally he's had enough time for the Doom to wear off, and now they can turn this. They'll bring down Ryo. The Brewmaster had a nice run, but it's just not enough. He'll end up falling. Jo will manage to retreat out in the end.
Yeah, it took them quite a few buybacks to get back into it, but in the end, they are the ones that get the higher gold value in exchange. They are able to hold it. They're able to start a fight and finish it. They didn't get the initiation they wanted because the Wave of Terror actually came out from the Venge, and it does cancel Blink Daggers now. So the Shadow Shaman was looking to go for the quick Blink Hex as soon as Smoke broke, and it actually turned out to be him barely surviving at all with a Ghost Scepter force-stuffing away. So close calls, but Rave, they held the beginning parts of that fight, but it just seems like buybacks right now, especially this close to home, are what's keeping the old boys in this game. Tongfu are just able to, when they rebound, when they come back to life and bring that second wind to the engagements, they're able to get the key kills, and with this net worth of disadvantage, it's actually extremely favorable. As long as the 5-minute cooldown does progress, as long as they can get the cooldown back up, the gold is certainly made up for by itself.
And for now, Roche will be respawning soon. Rave will have the... So potentially, Blaze, they'll have the Aegis. The only hero with... Oh, actually, no. Bristle and Necro both have it. Ugh, that's tough. Yeah, I don't know. With those two buybacks, I'm not even sure Aegis and Cheese... Well, actually, it would be double Cheese, but... Yeah, even then, I just don't know if that's good enough to crack the space open. They just... Again, it just goes back to the nature of their draft, and one of the big downsides to the Rave lineup is... Once the Venge dies, they start to lack significant damage on buildings. The one hero who offers it is your TA, but TA just doesn't want to be standing in the middle of the fight. The illusion actually denying the rune there, so... That's
actually really nice. I mean, the DD isn't going to be needed to take Roche, but it's still pretty cool. Yeah, we're going to see Roshan go down very quickly, but they're actually going to try to contest this.
Interestingly, they're going to go in, and they dropped their mech for this. Cast is currently holding it. He'll try to go for his ultimate, but it's immediately removed, and Xiao just smacks him down. Roshan chaos in the pit as Agents of the Immortal picked up by Jo. So he has that going his way. This time they can focus the Bristle with the Aghanim's Doom affecting him. They'll overrun them a bit here. Now they chase the other direction, looking for Xiao 8. They've all managed to stay alive. Brewmaster now falling. as the split ends, but it's okay. They've kept Jo healthy for now. The wards start to chip him down a bit, and he'll retreat out, so they still have a payload. Jo going into Meld, trying to dodge away from OB, now turns on Jo! Great plays from Jo, smacks him down, but he'll lose the Aegis for this. And with the buyback from DD, the return into this fight, they might end up killing up Jo as well. Just getting Ninja Boogie isn't really that great for a Bristleback buyback in theory, but, well, they'll get the kill there on him. Not on the Bristleback, though. The Shadow Shaman ends up going down, and OB will retreat out. Buyback also used now on the Witch Doctor. One interesting thing, I'm not sure how big of a deal it is at this stage of the game, Blaze, but they actually passed the mech to the Witch Doctor so that the Doom could be holding a cheese for that fight. And he did end up using that cheese. They actually used double cheese there, so... I'm not... That mech seems to me like it's a decently big deal against Bristleback, because at this point, he starts to hit quite hard with right-clicks, not to mention the Night Stalker as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a Vlad's or any other +5, like they have the AC obviously, but that just counteracts the enemy AC. If you need to get some kind of positive armor aura going up against the Bristleback. So Bassi, Vlad's, or Mech. Obviously, the Mech is only when you've used the active, but even still, it is a nice benefit. So,
by the way, look at this courier. This has to be the most valuable courier I've ever seen. Completed Abyssal Blade, Refresher Orb, and the Mech coming out. But they're not even waiting for these items. Can't believe it. They're just going in regardless. With 2 heroes dead, they feel confident to jump in. They've got the Aghanim's Doom. They're throwing everything at DD. And with this amount of damage coming out from the TA, the Bruce, but it seems like they'll be able to bring him down. Witch Doctor don't use Jo, able to survive through this, but they have only managed to kill the Bristleback. That's a Bristleback dead. It's a big kill. No buyback for a long time. He's going to be dead for 100 seconds. This might finally be enough for Rave. They've had to work damn hard for their first slate of racks. If they jump on Jo here, this could end poorly, though. He's got that Abyssal Blade and BKB. Necrolite, I think he managed to use his ultimate, so Doom can't buy back. Yeah, he's out of the picture as well for quite a long time here. And, well, they'll manage to get a couple of kills. Ninja Boogie also dropping. Your Doom will fall. 130 seconds on the sideline. Is this enough to make it a comeback the other way for OB?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the lane of racks certainly hurts, but they can honestly like go for their own set of racks here in this time frame where the Doom is completely out of the picture. The fact that he bought back, that he has this plus over 100-second death timer, this is a big timing frame where the old boys can just run over the side of Rave.
They only have a buyback on TA. That's it.
Yeah, they have to control the TA is the problem, and we'll have to see if they're willing to just use the Necro ulti for that or what other purposes. For now, though, Jo is staying away from his team. He's got the negative Venge aura, doesn't want that to be in the picture, but has to actually get a little bit closer because soon enough, Rave will be looking to contest. For now, it's just the Drunken Haze to limit Jiaweit's damage on the tower and try to buy time for the support to respawn. 75
seconds with no Doom. It is the power of that Aghanim's Necrolite, and maybe what we see even better than double Doom will be a double Scepter ultimate from Necrolite. But for now, he's just got the plate now. We'll have to farm some more heroes for that to happen. Void coming on to cast. He's going to be very tough for him now to get off a good Death Ward. Xiaoweit's got his eyes on him, and there's just not enough other targets, really. Still waiting for that Doom to respawn. 50 seconds on the sideline. They come right back the other way, but they do manage to stun Xiaoweit. Can they get a swap in on him? No, they can't. And he'll continue to tank the damage from the Death Ward. Melee Rex taking a lot of damage, but not brought down just yet. And now they get a Blink Dagger on their Lich as well. So 820, looking for that magical Chain Frost. OB, really wishing they could take Roche during this time, but unfortunately they can't. So they push right back down mid. They get a tier 2 and a tier 3. But Rave get the real big objective here. They get the first lane of Rex, though, as we've seen quite a few times in the past day or so, and just historically in Dota, you're 57 minutes in, a one lane of Rex only means so much.
Yeah, they definitely need a second or third to kind of cinch it. Now that we don't really have any rat heroes on the table, no heroes to go for any split push, long range, maybe like the Shadow Shaman could drop some Ags wards pretty soon, but in general, we're just going to be seeing direct brute force engagements, and that really means that the next one that Rave starts is going to end up taking down a second lane of racks, and that's when it actually gets more difficult.
Or maybe even just the throne right away. That's what I'm starting to think, is either team, like if they win a fight, might just say, screw it, we're going to try to throne it here.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility in that too. There's a lot of right-click damage flying about. Like we've seen, the Drunken Haze can be very difficult for Tongfu's lineup to deal with as far as right-clicking down structures, but if you might be able to bring down the Bristle in that, he does have buyback in 1:20. But if the Bristleback or the Brewmaster isn't in the picture, I could see Tongfu going for it. But Rave just in general have the better base race lineup, so I think that's more likely to be their course of action than anything else.
I do want to point out just how impressive Jo has played this game. And we've talked about how big he is, but the way he's gotten there is by basically pitching a shutout. 14-1 and 13, he had the one death mid lane. But for a 58-minute game with this much emphasis on shutting him down, for him to be this farmed, he had a nice start, but it's just impressive how consistent he's been since then. And I feel if he's died like 2 more times this game, Rave might even be the ones who are down a late of racks and in danger of losing the game. Like, that's just how big killing this TA is going to be.
I'm trying to think of where he progresses from here, because essentially, like, the BKB, it's only 5-second duration. It's almost something that you want to pitch and look for something like a butterfly, or, I don't know. I mean, you could actually enter rapier territory here. I mean, when you're already essentially looking at 1 life given up as a huge gold swing the other way, you might just say, okay, well, why don't we just put everything on this 1 life? So maybe drop an item, including the BKB. I'm not sure. I don't think they've changed it so you can sell it yet, which they definitely should change back. But anyways, with like Aegis, I think a rapier could be a really legitimate course of action for Jo here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is the point where BKB isn't particularly valuable. There's still some ways to control him, though, and my worry is of things like Chain Frost, Frost Blast, Void, the Night Stalk. There's also the Silence, which you can Manta out of, but there's a lot of other spells that you may be looking to just Manta to kind of deal with and could fuse them in the fight already. There's so much control that doesn't go through BKB. It's just so tough to say, all right, I'll give it up anyway. And now, well, something that may encourage him to give up the BKB is going to be this Abyssal Blade for Xiao 8. The one other thing that I was thinking, Blaze, is Evasion might be valuable this game for him.
Yeah.
There's really no MKBs. It might be like the last big item that Xiao 8 looks for at this point to replace, say, his Urn. But for now, there's no way to pierce that Evasion aside from a Shaman Hex.
Yeah. I honestly thought that the Necro was going to be going for Hex, but Jo fell back for the Liquid Sphere, which is an interesting choice, and so a good way of at least delaying the Doom. He's going to have to cast Level Death first, and then go for the Doom itself. But yeah, all the same, Jo doesn't have the Hex. Bristle might be working his way there, but still has some time to go. So I could see the Butterfly being very high value as well. So either way, he's got 7,000 gold. He's going to have to make use of it pretty soon, and we'll see what he comes up with.
Yeah, the one other thing is there is still a Heaven's Halberd on 2 of these heroes, so there is still the disarm to worry about.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess that's the one problem, but I mean, even so, the BKB just does not feel like a big item at this point, and you consider the value it offers him. These fights are not... He's not bursting anyone in those 6 seconds, right? So, regardless of whether or not he has it, he's still not really killing anyone outside of maybe, like, the Shadow Shaman, and then you're still dealing with all of the issues that you would have otherwise, and an item that really does very little for you. And for now, he will pick up the Aegis.
Drops the Manta for now.
That's a...
It's got to be the Halberds, honestly.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason, is you just need to, even if it's a short duration immunity, the dispel factor is enough that you
It
want
actually makes me feel like Heaven's Halberd is just going to be an amazing item in general, not just in this game. Because we're seeing game lengths, at least from all the games I've cast, have been a lot longer. He's just going to... No boots. He'll just be a siege engine. All right. Having flashbacks to that Fear Dota game in the G1 League qualifiers 2012. Oh, man. It's been a while. Well, Manta here, but they still pursue him out. Now they swap DD back into the fray, doing decent damage to him. But, yeah, the new boot strat. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, and just using the supports as couriers. The Venge is carrying Allied Plate Mail. The Cass is carrying this BOTs. It's just, yeah, trying to make the most of the slots while you don't really worry about mobility so much. So he really is just this truck, but he is getting halberded left and
right.
right.
From the Doom will go right onto DD, but DD is still very tanky. There's a secondary Doom ready with the Refresher now out, but Chrissy needs to get it off. He's been Abyssal Bladed. He can't cast it. He won't be allowed to cast it. Now the Necro ult finishes him off. Oh, he's dead for a long time. But from the low ground comes a Witch Doctor ult. It might be enough to turn this. That Bristleback's still at half health. Cast is going to drop as well. Jaya's got to scatter. They've all got to run the hell away. Jaya on the way out. The Brewmaster probably not going to be so lucky here, although he does get off a decent slow. Now Ryo blinking to the left will try to escape. The chase is on in earnest. Xiao 8, will he find anyone? Shade Frost already been used and still has 30 seconds on the cooldown. No way to cancel that. Doom on the sidelines for 100. Did they actually get the... Necro ult on him in time?
Yeah, they necroed the Doom, so that's plus 30 right there, and it is just absolutely brutal for him.
Does that, I guess that indicator means he can't buy back? Because it says he can on buyback status.
Yeah, there used to be a scythe that they put under the actual timer frame, but yeah, he should have been killed during the Necro ulti. At least he was like at 30% HP, and it was afflicting him, so he shouldn't be able to buy back here.
I think they changed this so you don't actually have to get the killing damage. It just has to afflict you during that time. Alright, I think that's just a glitch. I guess we'll find out. Maybe it was misused and we just didn't see it. Well,
if you look at the top left...
Oh, hold on, they're going in now. They're going down to JO. He gets swapped out of this fight, but they push through, and yeah, if he could buy back, he would be. So just a bug for now. As they'll try to hold the high ground here with the cast bouncing through. Xiaowei taking a lot of damage. Maybe they don't need their double doom. They're doing okay, at least for now. JO will finally pop his BKB. He lurks on Joe, but it's just very slow damage for a TA this big. Can't even get the single kill on the enemy Necrolite as the BKB ends. He drops back to Earth. He gets bashed. He gets focused. He will end up going down. He has an Aegis here, so he will respawn and have another chance to fight. And they'll come back with the Brewmaster split. This time they can kill off the Night Stalker. They look for a bit more. The trap going out as well. On to Joe. And now chasing a bit further. Secondary boulder tosses there. They'll get the kill on Joe as well. Joe trying to retreat out. Maybe not. Maybe not. He's 4-stepped away. And they still haven't addressed this Bristleback. I'm actually not sure if Jo can fight against this. They gotta cyclone him and ignore him. Joe has his ultimate cooling down relatively soon. 30 seconds to go. At the rate this fight is going, with all the tanks in play, he may actually get to use it a second time. But Doom is now respawned. And Doom can rejoin the fight. Chrissy lumbers down from the high ground, but it's too late. Oh. It's too late. They've lost the TA already. The Night Stalker of Xiaowei will buy back, and it's just ping-pong down the middle lane at this point. OB right onto the range racks. They've equalized the building score. Do they go for a second lane here? Do they try for it, Blaze? Well, yeah. They have a Necrolite ultimate. TA has buyback, not using it.
Yeah, she definitely is going to have to, but they don't.
Oh,
have, she's looking to back door.
Base race, base race time. She's decided that they just can't fight. No, okay, she BOT's into the fight. Never mind. Going on to Xiaowei. Necro ult ends the Doom. Oh, this might be it. This might just be GG. After a great run for the first 58 minutes, Rave lose one big fight, and with that, pretty much the game. 2 lanes of Rex from here. The Necro Aghanims, the difference maker, as well as just an insane number of buybacks to keep them in this game. Now they'll chase on to Jo and... well, maybe it's not entirely over, but they're going to lose Jo again, it looks like. Chasing him out. He'll get swapped away to the well. Cass now throwing out his ultimate. This could be the turn. They're tanking a big Witch Doctor. No, he gets silenced. Okay. Oh, well. Now they're diving the well. DD? A little bit overconfident here, man. This can go the other direction. Don't think that you're out of the woods just yet. Cask will bounce. Brewmaster splits cool down. We're really just not done yet, are we? They're going to keep on fighting this one out. Joe's starting to take big damage, but he's 4-staffed away. They'll try to stagger the retreat. Xiaowei will charge back in. He wants to kill off Cass. This is one of the few heroes that'll actually die in a fight and continues to maul him. The Daystalker gets 1 kill. Turns for a second. He'll Abyssal Blade Jo. That's a dieback from him. This is the end now. 4 heroes dead. Buybacks all down the drain. No way to defend any longer. They'll lose their 3rd lane of racks. The creeps come marching in from the north. And what looked like a game that would have just been all Rave all the way, somehow, someway, OB mount the comeback.
6.82 Dota, man. This is really, it's all about the comebacks. It's all about just getting that one pick off and starting it. The Rave movement towards the mid lane, just trying to force the tier 3s and the rocks time and time again. If they couldn't make that a clean victory, they couldn't guarantee this game. And although it looked extremely bleak 10, 15 minutes before, they pull through. That Aghanim Scepter, so insane against the Doom, getting it twice on him to the point that he has a 130-second death timer. And although he had the buyback gold and the buyback cooldown, he had cheese, he had refresher, doesn't get to use any of it because of that Aghanim Scepter. Necrophos really making the difference when it comes down to these late game, having the one-man advantage constantly.
I'm really starting to feel, Blaze, in this version, it's about getting those kinds of heroes. Like we saw yesterday, Fears, Refresher, Wraithking, heroes that can permanently take you out of the game, heroes that have extra lives. Doom on paper, I think, is pretty good in those scenarios, just deleting 2 heroes from the game. He just wasn't very good against this OB draft. They're just too tanky at this stage of the game, and well, with that said, OB, they pull a fast one on Rave. They'll take game 1, but ladies and gentlemen, it is a best of 3. We'll be coming back for game number 2, and Rave will have a shot at redemption. The lone non-Chinese squad remaining in I-League. We'll see if they can bounce back after this. Stay with us.